Let's start with talking about Agile Manifesto, which is the starting point for this whole Agile movement. In 2001, 17 software pundits met in a place called Salt Lake City in Utah in a snowbird resort to talk about what is the commonality between their own practices. These 17 guys have been working on their own ways of doing things. They are called lightweight methodologies, and they want to come together and talk about what is the commonality between all of them. And they wrote at the end of the day something called Agile Manifesto, which captures 4 values and 12 principles. And these guys are practitioners, and they have been doing it for a long time before they came together and put it into this one place. And also they all signed off, or they were committed to promote these values and principles. I was fortunate enough to at least meet personally a handful of these visionaries during the early days of my Agile career. Let's look a little deeper into what this Agile Manifesto is talking about. Let's look at the values of Agile Manifesto first. The way it reads says, we are uncovering better ways of developing software by doing it and helping others do it. They were uncovering better ways of doing things in 2001. We are uncovering better ways of doing still in 2020. What does it tell you? It means Agile is not prescriptive. It's not like a 10-point formula you just follow. Rather, it is just a set of values and principles. What are the different ways you need to think about and do things to be agile? They are uncovering better ways. There are no best ways in a complex world when things are changing all the time. Whatever we think today is better than yesterday, and tomorrow we may find even better ones. That's what is happening. Even today we are finding better ways of doing things, like the newer concepts like DevOps or design thinking. Anything that is going to make you more agile, they keep evolving. And at the bottom of this Agile Manifesto, you see that is while there is a value in the items on the right. So if you look at the individuals and interactions over processes and tools, the right side items are also valuable. But we value left side items more. So a lot of times there is a myth early on that right side items which are not important at all. So I asked one team, hey, where is your documentation? They said, we are Agile teams, we don't document anything. Agile never said, don't document anything. Agile said, don't give too much emphasis to documentation, rather give more emphasis to working software. So with this kind of understanding, let us look at each value, what they talked about. Individuals and interactions are more valuable than processes and tools. How many times a process is a problem in your organization? How many times tools are a problem in your organization? One lady came to my class, she said, actual building software takes only 1 day, but rolling out to production takes 6 days because they have 5-level approval process. Is it all necessary to have 5 approval process? It is something you need to think about. The ideology behind this value is great people build great products. Great process may not guarantee. It's not like you have a great process, you just plug in the people in the process. It's more like have a great people, but define a lightweight methodology around it so that they will work out what is the best way to do. Give more value to individuals and interactions or putting them in a strict process and imposing some strict tools. That's what the essence behind this particular value. Working software over comprehensive documentation. Rather than writing bundles and bundles of documents and spending 20 to 30% of the project cycle in just creating documentation, rather than building anything, is waste. In the world of change, that is the whole premise for Agile. If the customer doesn't know what they want until they start really using it, how do we know what customer wants 1 year before and create a detailed documents to capture all that, and which will be anyway waste. So that's why what Agile Manifesto talks about, we need to start building some working product rather than detailing everything upfront and do just enough documentation or whatever is needed, or maybe do the documentation in a better way, in a smarter way, so that you're not wasting a lot of time doing too much too early. Rather, put all your energy and time in where the value is, which is actual product itself. So that is the whole ideology behind working software should be more valuable than comprehensive documentation. Documentation can evolve just in time what is needed. Customer collaboration over contract negotiation. When would customer know what they want? I already answered this question. Customer would only know when they start using. A lot of times customers don't know what they want, and if you force them to write everything down and sign it off, they try to put everything they could think of, whether it's important or not. And what if market changed? There was a research that says a project running 1 year or longer, at least 50% of the requirements are obsolete. If that is true, a well-run 1 year project in waterfall cycle delivers a 50% value. So what is the best way to go about it if the market is changing all the time? Having a customer collaboration is much more important, and also understand what exactly they want at any given time and deliver what they want, rather than getting into a strict contracts and asking them to sign off for 1 year or longer. That will lead to probably a mediocre product. So this requires contract negotiation to be somewhat different than our strict contracts like in waterfall. Even the contract should be lightweight, should talk about how to swap the work, how to accommodate the oncoming changes. So the whole agile thought process has to start from writing contracts itself. In your statement of work or however you capture your contract should be light enough that actually captures all the approach, all the collaboration model throughout the project, and focus more on the customer collaboration so that you understand what customer wants, so that the customer gets the best value out of this whole project. And the last one, responding to change while following a plan. If you are in a changing world and customer doesn't know what they want, the best thing is you have to respond to the change rather than following a plan. You cannot come up with a meticulous plan for 1 year or longer and just follow the plan. And if you don't even know what we want or what customer wants. Somebody asked me, hey Nanda, how is your schedule next week? I said, I have no idea. I don't plan that long. You just call me and find out how things are, because my schedule is so volatile, I plan as I go. If you are in a changing world, what is more important is responding to change rather than following a strict plan. In this context, we say planning is everything and plans are worthless. Planning is everything because you are in a changing world, you have to plan all the time. Whereas coming up with the detailed plans for a long period are worthless. Early on, there was a misconception that agile organizations don't plan. They do plan all the time. Only thing is they won't have too detailed plan. They would have iterative planning, the plan as they go. There are 12 principles of Agile Manifesto, and let me take one principle at a time and try to explain what exactly it meant. The first principle is our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. In a changing world, what is more important is delivering valuable software. That has to be delivered continuously and quickly, or as early as possible, maybe every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, so that the customer can start using it. And this is how we actually meet the customer competitive advantage, by delivering this product fast enough and continuously. And this is how we make the customer delightful. The second principle is welcome changing requirements even late in the development. Agile processes harness change for the customer competitive advantage. In the changing world, an agile team will welcome changing requirements even late in the development. Just be cognizant that this Agile Manifesto was written in 2001, when predominantly the process followed was waterfall. How often were we allowing change in waterfall? Maybe once in 6 months, 9 months, 12 months? That's not good enough in a changing world. In a changing world, we need to allow requirement change even late in the development. So more often, maybe every 2 weeks, every 4 weeks, we should be allowing change because the world is changing all the time. How easy is that for you in your organization? If it's going to be very hard in your organization, you need to really understand where is the problem. First of all, is there a genuine need in the market for changing this requirement? A lot of organizations, take Agile as a crutch and keep changing the requirements, though there is no need for the change. So maybe they didn't do their homework. They thought maybe Agile means changing requirements where more often is allowed, but that comes with cost. It's not for free. If your organization is not set up for responding to change or welcoming change even late in the development, that's going to be a disaster. Okay, there is a real need for change in the market. Is your organization capable of taking the change? Is your product built for change? Does your product have automation? Is the architecture allows a quick change? Or do you have the cost of change is going to be very high? The teams working on this product, are they capable of making changes easily? Do they have a mindset of accepting change and be able to change the product as per the requirement more often. There are so many different factors you may want to look at whether this is going to be possible in your organization or not, and depending on where the problem is, you may want to work on it. If there is not a genuine need, maybe you want to, or maybe your organization is not ready yet, maybe you want to talk to your customer and your organization leadership to make them understand that, we cannot change it right now as is, and we need to start moving towards it, and eventually we will be able to do it. If this is a problem with your product, you may want to look at how to re-architect, redesign your product so that the change would be easy. Maybe you want to look at the automation. Also, you want to look at your teams to educate them on what is the importance of taking this change and what are the different techniques available in the industry that the teams can adopt so that they can be able to change the product easily. The third principle is deliver working software frequently from a couple of weeks to a couple of months with a preference to the shorter cycle. In software development, we usually say that we know that it is done only when it is done. For that reason, we need to reach that done state more often so that we are very sure that we are done. So the point here is to deliver a working software more often so that we are very sure that it is done. Most of the agile teams say that the maximum is 4 weeks, but what is the preference? A shorter cycle. How do we decide the shorter or longer cycle? Depends on how much uncertainty you have. More uncertainty you have, you want to have a shorter cycles so that you can inspect and adapt more often. If you have less uncertainty, you can go for longer cycles. Regardless, you need to figure out your teams need to figure out a way to deliver a working software frequently, more often, maybe every few weeks, rather than few months and years like we're used to. So this requires your teams to work on a smaller chunks of work that can be delivered in a shorter cycle and deliver value to the customer more often rather than batching up everything into one big batch and take like a very long cycle and deliver at the end. Principle number 4. Business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project. If we are in a changing world and the customer doesn't really know what they want, the best way is to business people and the development teams to work together all the time. That's the only way to understand the customer and collaborate with the customer so that we can deliver what exactly they want rather than just go talk to them once and get all the requirements and then go deliver. Then the context might have changed and the requirements might have changed. So the requirements are changing all the time. The best way to deliver what exactly the customer wants is customer collaboration. That means the business people and the development team should collaborate more often, even it could be daily, depending on how much uncertainty you have. I was talking to one guy who used to be a developer in one big firm, and later he quit the job and he started his own company. He told me that when he used to be a developer, he used to curse the business people all the time. Why do these guys keep changing requirement all the time? Now that he's an entrepreneur and he is actually building a product which doesn't exist in the market, it's a brand new idea. So every morning he wakes up and gets a new idea. He goes to his development team and say, hey, what I said yesterday is not right. What I'm saying today is the right thing. So now he realizes the value of a daily collaboration with the development teams, because if your context demands that kind of collaboration, you need to have that kind of collaboration. Otherwise, the output is going to be less than the desirable. Principle number 5. Build projects around motivated individuals. Give them the environment and support they need and trust them to get the job done. The ideology behind this principle is great people build great products, not the great process. You cannot just plug in the people in a process and let them just work, because the individuals and interactions is more important than processes and tools. You have seen like the huge companies, the big companies like Google, Microsoft, and such kind of companies. People want to go to organization and do something. And whereas lots of other organizations, people just go there, do some work and come back, get their paycheck, they're happy. You need to see what kind of organizations are building great products. It is given that great people build great products. The leadership job is to motivate people. And there's a lot of science behind what motivates people. Money motivates only up to some extent. Beyond money, there are other things what motivates people, like autonomy, mastery, and purpose. There was a research done which indicates that money will take people up to only some extent, And beyond that, they need freedom to choose, which is autonomy, and opportunity to master their skills, mastery, and purpose for their work. When the people have these three things, then they are going to be motivated. Think about it. There are so many people who are passionate about doing some arts, hobbies, music, singing, sketching, painting, dancing, different things. Why would they do that? Nobody's forcing them to do it. Nobody's paying them to do all these things because they want to do it. People will be motivated when they want to do something versus when they are forced or when they have to do it, then they may not be motivated. And people get motivated by freedom, empowerment, enablement. So these are the different things what makes people more motivated. And leaders' job is to create such an environment and hire the right people, give them what they need, and let them run and do a great job. So that is the essence of this particular principle. Principle number 6. The most efficient and effective method of conveying information to and within a development team is face-to-face conversation. There is a research that says people sit face-to-face communicate better than people sit back-to-back in the same location. I had one lady in my class, she said all her team members are sitting in the same floor of the same building, but within the floor they are distributed and they are not collaborating very well. One of the team members sends an email and maybe that person met the friend during the lunchtime. Hey, I sent you an email, did you look at it? The other person says, oh, did you send me an email? It was buried somewhere. It is given, the research proves that people see each other, they talk to each other. It is given that if you want the highest level of agility, you need highest level of collaboration. To get the highest level of collaboration, you need to have co-location. But your situation requires distribution. You need to think about how much collaboration do you need and are you getting that level of collaboration within the current setup? If not, you need to make a change. Anyway, agile teams are supposed to be small teams. You need to hire a small team in one place. You can have one team sitting in, for example, in India, one team sitting in US, other team is sitting in Singapore, and all teams could be self-sufficient. That setup may work fine. But if you have half of the team working in US, half of the team working in India, that could be a problem because they have to collaborate very heavily. However you set it up, if it is working for you, you don't have to change anything. But if it is not working, causing lots of communication problems, you need to think about how to create that face-to-face conversation. Maybe you can use tools, technology, and create that kind of environment where people can talk to each other face-to-face. Principle number 7. Working software is the primary measure of progress. How many times you have seen team coming and saying, hey, 80% done, only 20% left. But the 20% takes 80% of the time. So as I said earlier, in software, you know that it is done only when it is done. So the team should not get any credit for completing an item until they really are done. There is nothing like an intermediary state. So the only way of measuring progress is working software. You cannot say, okay, we spent 30% of the project cycle and created a bunch of documents. Is that 30% of the project progress? But you see all the problems only when the product is completed and tested, and when the customer started using, that's when you see all the problems. So we need to get to that level every time to count it as a progress, because otherwise you don't know what is hidden under the hood. How many times you face tomorrow is the deadline and tonight you are working on it, suddenly team found a bug that actually caused the project to be delayed by 3 months. So that is the reason the only working software is the primary progress. You cannot say, okay, development is done, 50% progress. Principle number 8. Agile processes promote sustainable development. The sponsors, developers, and users should be able to maintain a constant pace indefinitely. How is your blood pressure right before the release? I'm sure pretty high in a lot of waterfall projects. How is it after the release? It depends on how the release went. Can you really deliver something every 2 weeks or 3 weeks in that kind of mode? That means your blood pressure is never going to come down. What agile teams do is they have to deliver value continuously for a long period. For that, they have to maintain a sustainable pace. Agile teams have to run like running a marathon, not like running a 100 meters dash. What happens in 100 meters dash? At the end of the run, the state of the runner is going to be completely exhausted and ready to fall. Can this person run a marathon like that? It's not possible. How does a marathon run? They run at a constant pace or a pace they can maintain for a long period. Sometimes they miss the goals, milestones, they speed up to catch up. Once they caught up, they go back to their sustainable pace. Agile teams need to maintain their sustainable pace so that they can run long period without burning out. This is basically the teams taking only enough work or what they can chew on without burning out, and also improving everything else so that they can take more work rather than just taking more work, then they'll burn out, and which is not sustainable. It's very, very important for agile teams to sustain the pace because they have to run for long period and by delivering value continuously. Using agile engineering practices is one of the very, very important aspects of development teams getting agile so that they can deliver something valuable within the short cycle. Principle number 10. Simplicity, the art of maximizing the amount of work not done is essential. This is probably the most confusing principle of Agile Manifesto. How many times you have seen features being built in your product? Not many of them are being used. What is the average percentage of Microsoft Office product features being used? Roughly 8 to 12%. If you are building a product for a targeted customer, why would you build any feature nobody is using? I have seen many teams, they spend a lot of money and time building features, and after some time somebody goes and look at how many people are using these features. Not many. There is a research that says across several products, there's only a single percentage of the features are best fit features. The other features are either outdated or not useful. Nobody wants it. It's difficult to use. And why did we build such features in the first place? And these features actually make the product much more complex. So this principle says that don't build such features. Build only what is enough. How many architectures are fully utilized? Most of the architectures are rarely utilized because architectures are done upfront when the even customer doesn't know what they want. The teams actually architect for everything they could think of, and most of the things are going to change. And usually in waterfall projects, the architect gives the architecture document and goes away, and now the development team has to struggle how to patch it up and deliver, and that makes a product very complex. So what we want to practice here is evolutionary architecture, meaning architecture has to evolve with the product rather than a big bang architecture. This means architect has to work with the dev teams, making sure that their architecture still works. And also maybe make adjustments, maybe give guidance to the development teams how to make decisions within the architecture. So this principle talks about build just enough features and do evolutionary architecture so that you are doing just enough at any point of time. That makes the product simple and easy to maintain. And also this will make the team more agile because they can easily make changes to this product. Principle number 11. The best architectures, requirements, and designs emerge from self-organizing teams. Agile teams are not supposed to be self-organizing teams. Why is it important to be self-organizing? Think about it. Let's say your team is playing football. Ball is lying on the ground. Who should decide who should kick next? Definitely not the captain. Definitely not the person who is sitting in the box. The players who are close to the ball need to make a decision. Sometimes there may be more than one player, and they have to spontaneously decide who is going to fake it, who is going to kick it, based on the goal position and defender position. Is it even possible to plan this play? This play has to be played such that the people who are close to the problem, they have to make the decision. They have to self-organize. So do you agree that you live in a complex world, at work, at home? If that is the case, when there is a complexity, that means there are too many variables, you cannot predict what is going to happen. The best approach is self-organization. In self-organization, the people who are close to the problem will have the full context and they have to make the decision. And for them to make the decision, they need to have empowerment, that means authority to make decision, and enablement are all the skills required to make the decision. So the leader's job is to empower and enable the teams so that they can self-organize and solve the complex problems. So that is the reason that any technical decisions, including architecture, requirements, or anything design, anything that should be coming from self-organizing team, not from somebody outside, just creates a document and throws it over the wall. It has to evolve within the team, just in time, just in context. Principle number 12. At regular intervals, the team reflects on how to become more effective, then tunes and adjusts its behavior accordingly. This is what is inspect and adapt. If you're in a changing world and you have no idea what is the outcome going to be, you need to keep checking whether you are going in the right direction or not, as far as the product is concerned, as far as the approach is concerned. So that's what is stopping once in a while and checking, are we in the right direction as far as building this product from the product standpoint or the process standpoint? If not, we need to adjust our course so that we stay on track. If you're not really inspecting and adapting, you may be going in the wrong direction for too long, then you will be totally off track. So it's extremely important to inspect and adapt. This is like a mantra in the whole agile world: inspect and adapt. So whatever the process you follow, it has to have opportunities to inspect and adapt so that periodically the team and the organization checking their direction and adjusting their course so that they can stay on track.